As grids become more complex, operators need tools that can simulate faster and plan with greater precision. Digital twins are emerging as one of the most powerful ways to understand systems behaviour in real time and anticipate future scenarios. To explain how digital twins are being deployed and what they mean for future grid reliability, I'm joined by Lubo Minchev, CEO of Telelink Infra. So where do you think that digital twins can make the biggest immediate impact when we're looking at grid planning, grid operations?
I believe that immediate is already being done and deployed, and it is in all the preventive maintenance, immediate reactions. It is already being deployed in multiple of grid solutions in terms of making savings, making predictable analysis about how the demand is being shaped around the deliverables. And of course, on the very assets that are being deployed in the grid in order to make sure that they can be maintained properly, and of course, providing the fluent and the incessant work of the flow of energy, and that's the most important, I guess.
In terms of how they're used today, looking into the future, how will it change that use?
Yeah. Well, that's I guess a big one, because obviously the amount of computing power that we currently possess is further increasing as we speak. So that allows a lot more digital twins to be deployed, but it's mostly about the systems behind them as well. So it's not only about the twin itself, but what exactly are the systems that and the data that is being gathered, and how this data is being deployed in order to make decision making. So in the future, I believe all of it is going to be a digital twin. I mean, there will be no assets that are not going to be digitally twinned. So the most important is going to be then how they're being operated in terms of systems that are extracting the data, processing the data, also making sure that the data is correct. Because as we know, there are some examples of incorrect data being imported into a digital twin, and then wrong decision making is actually providing for disaster. So it's quality of information in that is getting high quality output.
And that, I mean, I know that is still a challenge today, getting that high quality data that's meaningful, that can be analyzed. It's difficult, and obviously it will change the results that you get if it's not done properly.
I do agree with that, and actually cleaning the data, making sure that it is consistent across the board, is a big exercise that is currently being taken by very few operators in certain segments, as the amount of it being produced is humongous. It is really enormous. So I think that we're going to see a lot more examples in the coming years. And meanwhile, that's not necessarily the only way of doing and getting quick wins. And we already have some examples of how that can be done properly. Denmark, in the context of the EU, in terms of having more than 88% in renewables, and then knowing that there are a lot of flow of energy when you have a lot more wind from the North Sea. So obviously getting the example in order to be able to adapt the system and make sure that it can get the energy flowing into neighboring markets, and then at the end of the day balancing it. So they're trying to do as much as possible in digital twinning in order to make the flow incessant. So it's only, of course, concentrating where the bottlenecks are first in order to clear them, and then move on the rest of the systems, making sure that each one is cleared of bottlenecks. I guess that makes sense.
So I guess that leads on to the question then of, are you seeing good use? Are you seeing bad use? What does one outstrip the other at the moment, and will eventually change?
Well, of course, we are seeing, and I'm a believer that actually digitalization and AI is there to help society rather than harm us. So, of course, with every revolution, in the initial part of it, until it gets a very clear path of how it's being utilized, you have examples of not being properly used every time. But I guess that more and more with time, we're going to be seeing clearing of those examples, bad examples. We're going to be hearing only about the good ones. So I think that we're already seeing a lot of initiatives across the board in various parts, in the system operators as well as the distributors, as well as individual smaller assets owners or EPC contractors like us, because we believe that that's the future, and the only way to deploy this future in the best manner is to make it in a very transparent and very in the best way possible, so that you provide the investor with all the visibility on the assets, its performance, and its predictability. And predictability is the big word here. Predictability on every possible aspect of the grid, from the generation through the transmission, through the usage, through demand, is going to be the most important part. So,
And how easy is that to do in a world where we're moving more and more towards unpredictability in terms of, renewables on the grid and other forms as well?
you didn't ask for $1 billion question, but for $1 trillion question, I guess. Well, I think that yes and no, because there are certain elements of the predictability that is out there, and that's part of the demand growth, because it's not exponentially changing. Yes, variability and the volatility is going to stay there, because there are different usages of power that is happening at different points of the day, but that is also mitigated via various forms of this day ahead trading and intraday trading, so that all of that is being mitigated. And the more it happens, the more data is collected, the less a harmful exercise it is. So I'm not worried that unpredictability in other areas of geopolitics is going to have that much impact in the energy, to be honest, as much as in other areas that we are seeing.